Welcome, everyone. I am Jamie Cope, the Manager of Business Development at the WVU Industrial Extension, and we're happy to have everybody with us today at our West Virginia Manufacturers Virtual Roundtable. So we've got some great folks with us, going to give a little bit of a presentation on who they are, what they do, and we're going to go ahead and start with Matt Bohr at the West Virginia Development Office. So Matt, it's all yours, man.
All right, very good. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for the West Virginia MEP and for setting this up for several different workshops and so forth around the state of West Virginia to assist manufacturing and industrial sectors. So I'll talk a little bit about the West Virginia Development Office and what I do. So I'm the Business Retention Expansion Rep for North Central West Virginia. I do not live in Charleston. As many of y'all might have my business card or my email address and so forth. That address, Canal Boulevard, is my boss's address. So I live up in Preston County. So I actually live in the region where I work and often find myself in the 8-county region where I'm at, meeting with companies, manufacturings and businesses and so forth. Some items about the development office, which soon is going to have a new title of Office of Economic Development, official title that is, because of the creation of a new entity during this past legislative session. But currently, Development Office has sister organizations or sister agencies to assist with a number of business development wants and needs throughout the state of West Virginia. So I work in the business industrial development with the business retention and expansion team as a BRE, BID person. We also have a business attraction and also some research and training. We have an international division, works with exporting of products, of West Virginia made products throughout the world, but then also a business attraction, recruiting of foreign businesses to locate in the state of West Virginia. We also have other organizations such as the Office of Energy, the Small Business Development Center, which is a great asset for entrepreneurship, business development, with business plans, financing, so forth, for startup companies and some other smaller companies that are trying to grow. The West Virginia CAD offers a lot of different assets to a lot of different community-based organizations and assistance, and then of course the Broadband Enhancement Council with the broadband expansion projects in West Virginia. Basically, we want to help your business grow in West Virginia. A number of assets that we have direct access to as far as actual state programs, but then also we have shared resource partners throughout the state of West Virginia, in which West Virginia MEP that's hosting this event today is one of the shared resources we have throughout all 55 counties. But basically assistance throughout the expansions, facilitate the collaboration to solve problems, sites and buildings, companies outgrowing a building, outgrowing a site, they want to relocate from one part of West Virginia to another location, and then also the business recruiting efforts from companies outside the state boundaries to move to a site or a building within West Virginia. Workforce training. We have a very, very, very capable workforce training and workforce development team based out of the Charleston office to assist with identifying funds available from the state of West Virginia, cooperation with our community technical college programs for our Learn and Earn program for funding available for workers, training, so forth, and also with our apprenticeship program. So we've got a lot of assets to assist with workforce development and employee training. So we're just here to help solve problems, connect you to the resources to get your business up and going and or to grow and maintain your workforce, your business conditions, and contribute to the community that your businesses are located in. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Sure.
Yeah, good stuff. And like you were saying, we work hand in hand quite a bit. It's always good whenever we can collaborate with our partners, and that's why we were excited to have the development office on this webinar working with us. Someone else we're excited to have on the webinar is Heather Siefert. She's a rock star in the manufacturing world, at least in our region and in our state. And we liked her so much we added her to our board. But I'm going to just let you talk a little bit about what you do, Heather, and fill us in. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sure. I guess I need the MEP to come over here and show me how to use my computer today because I'm failing.
We'll be right there.
Come on over. So my name's Heather Siefert, as Jamie said, and my husband and I have two manufacturing businesses in Westover. We actually remanufacture underground coal mining equipment, and we manufacture everything: miners, shuttle cars, feeders, anything that goes underground, we reman, small, big, whatever. And we also do some new fabrication there as well, but not a lot of it. And we have also like remanned the drilling wells or the drilling rigs. We've beefed them up so they can push more or pull more, however you say it. So we've had one of those on its side in our shop as well. And we do small jobs for oil and gas, what's around. And then we have a CNC machine shop, and the CNC machine shop does, how we put it, our largest job at the CNC machine shop would be our smallest job at the underground coal mining repair shop. So very small things at the CNC machine shop, very precise precision. We do a lot of work for Mylan Pharmaceuticals. So we actually make the dosator, which puts the powder in the actual capsule. So, the precision is really there for them. And so we have mills and lathes, and it's a small shop. We have like 6 guys that work there, and they've worked there for a long time. So that's a little bit about what we do at work. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about the MEP. So I'm on the board for the MEP, and I actually use them a lot. For example, coming over and show me how to use my computer. Not really, but they do strategic planning for me, and have really helped me a lot. Precision is an ISO certified shop, and they help me completely get ISO certified. They come in and they do my audits every year. And to do government work, we had to be ITAR, or ITAR compliant. And so we the MEP, actually Dave, helped me integrate that into the ISO program. So we didn't have to have multiple programs. And right now we're working on cybersecurity and how can we integrate that into the ISO and the ITAR. So that's what we're working on now. So anything else you guys want me to chat about?
No, that's great. That's great. And we'll have some questions coming up soon. So, and we'll expect you to chime in.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for that, Heather. That's
No problem.
good stuff. So also with us today, we have David Carrick, who is a co-worker at the WVU Industrial Extension. So Dave, you want to go ahead and fill us in a little bit about the Industrial Extension?
Sure, thanks, Jamie. And Heather, thanks for all the kind words and for everybody for being here today. I'm the Associate Director with the Industrial Extension. We are the state's affiliate to the NIST MEP National Network. So a little lineage about how we come about. The university is a land-grant institution, so they have to give back to the state. They do that through the extension services, and we're housed in the Engineering and Mineral Resources College. Do that kind of work all around. Sorry, my computer's giving me a hard time here. There we go. So a little bit about the work we do. I like to share this slide all the time because we don't brag enough on the impact we have on the state, and I'm really proud of this. We have a small team of 8 people that work all over the state. And the numbers that you see here on the screen, the almost $30 million in increased retained sales, over 800 jobs, $11 million in new investment. those are all numbers that were verified by a third party survey company that we use through NIST MEP to look at the products we do and the impacts we have on people, like how there are any other manufacturers on the call. So I would like to start out with that because I'm really proud of what we've done for the state and what that's helped us do and help manufacturing here. A lot of the ways that we do that are through our basic core services. We provide services and everything from occupational health and safety, where we come in to do mock ocean assessments, write safety programs, do safety training for you, all those basic OSHA needs you have, up through more proactive things like air sampling and noise sampling in the industrial hygiene world. Quality management systems, helping with everything from ISO certification to building systems, ISO 14001, which is the sustainability piece, HACCP for the food industry, and several others. Mark Henline is our manager of quality systems and does an excellent job with that. With operational improvement, we do everything from looking at your process on the plant floor to the offices to look at how we can make that better. You know, everything we try to do should add value to the day and add value to your customers. So if we can find those things that aren't adding value and either minimize or eliminate those, it works better for everybody. Workforce and leadership training. If you've been on any call in the state in the past 2 years, you've heard the workforce issue beat to death. It's a huge issue we need to address. And some of the ways we do that is through helping companies to develop programs to better train their employees, better train their leaders, so that when you do find a good employee, you can keep them. They don't want to leave. They want to stay there and work with you. And in the innovation and growth arena, how do you grow? Let's look at your strengths and your opportunities and let's capitalize on those so you're not pigeonholed into one particular industry. Aside from that, here's some basic information on how you can connect with us. Stacy Miller, our Center Director's information is here. Our LinkedIn group is becoming much more active these days as we've added somebody to work on our marketing and getting our name out there and our brand a little better. So you'll see more of that stuff coming along. Other than that, Jamie, anything else that I missed?
No, except that you're also a rock star in the area. I should have introduced you properly. But
That's okay. You're 5 demerits.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So yeah, and I thanks, Dave. That was good stuff.
You're
good
welcome.
stuff. And we were going to have we were going to have Dane from the state ag business development group, but he had a baby, so he had to take some time off. I don't know what his priorities are, but we're going to have to talk to him about that. But so sorry those guys couldn't join us, and I'm sure they'll be at some of the other the roundtables that we're having. But we do have Matt Henderson with us, and Matt is over the Shale Power Initiative, which is I'll just let him talk about it more. But we've been really excited to work with him on some of the grants and things that are coming out through that program. So Matt, I'm just going to let you take it away from there.
Okay, well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and as you mentioned, discuss the Shale Power project here. As I mentioned, my name is Matt Henderson, and I'm one of the industry engagement leads. So, leading up the Shale Power project here, talk a little bit about it, details. There's a lot more information on our website at shalepower.org. But this is a 3-year project, and we had some slow starts, I would say, because we really kicked it off here in the spring of 2020, and everybody remembers what was going on a year ago. So, everybody was kind of in a wait and see attitude, but we have a lot of great programs coming up. And, the overview, I guess, let me talk quickly is, we're a Shale Power project funded by the Appalachian Region Commission. Catalyst Connection is manages this, but we have a lot of our partners here, on the call here today, which is key. Our goal, as you can see, is to educate and engage manufacturers along the shale energy supply chain. So our role is economic development. This is an area that I'd say for me has been close, to my heart in terms of shale development for the last 15 years. I've had the opportunity to work in the shale industry, working with businesses, helping them to engage, because this is a tremendous asset to this region. We estimate $17 to $20 billion is spent annually in the shale energy sector across the 3-state area. So our goal is working in the upstream, midstream, and the growing downstream sector, the plastics, power generation, natural gas liquids, the Shale facility is a prime example of the downstream investment, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And we're working with companies, manufacturers specifically, who have been impacted by the downturn in the coal industry. And I have seen in my work, manufacturers, I say, haven't got their fair slice of the pie in shale energy. Partly because from a service side, or some of the retail, or some of the distributors out there, their engagement or their entry point is a lot lower in terms of their investment, their time. They're not pivoting their entire business model. And this industry is a very cyclical industry. It was going gangbusters. 2015 slowed down. We're starting to get some headway, I say, from manufacturers. Then 2019, 2020 comes along, and the industry is in a second downturn, and we're in a more of a maturing pace right now. So I just want to jump, talk through some of this. Why shale power now? We see a lot in the news on ESG, the environmental, social, and governance, with all businesses, but energy companies are not out of that. I mean, they're looking at it deeply, developing their plans. A lot of that, say social, environmental is, how can we work with local manufacturers? It's from a supply chain standpoint, but it's also from, the comments they use is they want to make sure that their vendors, their workers replicate the areas they're working in. From a downstream perspective, with plastics, there's a tremendous amount of political and legislative support because of the awareness that has grown from our dependency on foreign imports through the pandemic. So there's a tremendous lot of headwinds here, or tailwinds, that are helping to make this initiative possible. Just 4 ways we deliver. Our website, again, shalepower.org. A lot of information on that website, resources. We do one-on-one consultations with companies. Once we identify a company who's interested in exploring, how can they fit into shale, work with them, developing a strategy, explaining what is required to work with the industry from a safety perspective, from dependability, reliability, and all of the boxes that they need to check in order to engage in the supply chain. We do a lot of workshops, events, and tours. The tours have been slow, but we have some coming up here this summer, going to drilling sites, going to midstream facilities, so companies can look and see and talk with the decision makers of what's on a site, what can they develop, what can they manufacture locally and provide to those energy companies. We do have some grant funds out there. Again, more information on the website, but there is some money out there to help companies to engage in the industry. But the biggest challenge we run into is, I mentioned there's a $17 to $20 billion investment, and this year there will be. The supply chains have been established, so it's harder to break in. We're in more of a maturing level of the industry out there. So we're not seeing that growth out there. It's a little bit slower and harder to engage with the industry out there. This slide is, if you look at it quick, it can be confusing, and it's not meant to be, but once you start studying it, this is what a lot of companies run into, is where do I enter the industry? So what we've done, again, this is on our website, is we've tried to break it down, helping people to understand where they can enter into the supply chain. The number one question I've had for 15 years is, they want to contact Range, EQT, Shell, all of the companies, but they need to understand sometimes the entry point might be 2 or 3 layers down in the supply chain there. So just a couple opportunities we see now, tied in with the regulatory is methane emissions. We know, that's a tremendous push from the current administration. New technologies, out there are needed to continue to, lower methane, come up with a, carbon neutral economy is basically what the driving force is out there. So we believe, through the innovative and the technology that, manufacturers can provide, again, this is a great fit, for the manufacturing community across the tri-state area. These are some of the market drivers, say the entry points or value propositions. We work with companies That supply chain reliability, the third bullet point down there, is key. Industry wants to buy local, and that's what our goal is through Shale Power, is to get some of those local companies, selling to the supply chain within this region, and then hopefully opening it up to across the across the United States, because a lot of these companies have assets outside of just the Appalachian Basin. So with that, there's my contact information. Glad to take some questions, and appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. That was all good stuff. I'm sure there's a few folks on here who are already thinking, how can I get involved with that? So just to make sure everybody's aware, I'm going to make sure that everybody's contact information that was on our little group here that has spoken so far, that contact information gets emailed out along with a recording of this event. So we'll get that. And moving forward, we're going to kind of get into a question and answer situation here. And just we want this to be as interactive as possible. We're really hoping this is the last time we have to do this virtually, or we may do some virtually and some others, but we really want to be in person soon. And hopefully next time it will be in person. But if you'd like to chime in on a topic, don't, and you're not one of the people who just presented, just unmute yourself and we'll try to call on you and give you an opportunity to speak. But everybody entered some topics that they would like to talk about from this webinar, from this roundtable and previous ones. And a lot of the same topics came up. One of the biggest topics that comes up, and Dave Carrick mentioned this as well, that workforce is a big issue. And Heather, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot first, if that's all right, to talk about some of this, some of the workforce issues. I mean, things that people listed specifically were things like clarifying good candidates, lack of candidates, recruitment, retention. So if you want to talk from maybe a manufacturer standpoint about how you're tackling some of those issues, that would be fantastic.
Well, I don't necessarily know if I'm tackling any of the issues. I think some of the issues are just going to be inherently there. And I think that all of these roundtables, we always ask the same questions, like, we have a drug problem. We have people don't want to come to work. They don't want to come to work on time. They miss a lot of work, no call, no show. It's the same culture that we all have all throughout the state. And I don't know if it's like this across the country or just in select areas. And so I guess instead of fighting it anymore, I just kind of expect it. We had 3 good participants, or 3 good candidates apply. They all came, worked for us for like 3 days. And then literally all on the same day, they got other jobs, other places, and left us. Actually, I think one that went back to college, one went to work for his dad. So it was like unique situations. But so I guess my advice is that pay the people you have more money. That's the first thing. We also offer healthcare, and we offer it at a very low rate. Now, the deductible is high because the healthcare just isn't great healthcare anywhere, but we pay for most of their healthcare if they want it. They only pay like $100 a month or $175 a month for a family. And that kind of is a benefit to them. And some of the people that are higher up in management, they have company cars. We pay for all of their healthcare. So if their daughter wants glasses, we pay for their daughter's glasses, that kind of stuff. I think that helps people be more loyal in the long run. But I don't know if there is a solution to our problem. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe this is a generational thing, and that once we get through this generation, the next one will be easier to work with. But that's my comment.
Sure. No, that's all good stuff. I think we hear a lot of that, but it's good whenever the employer gets it, right? I mean, that's one of the things people complain about the problem. And a lot of times they're not actively looking for solutions or things to try to keep people happy. So glad to see that somebody's working for you.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think there is a solution to people not wanting to work. I mean, there just isn't. So you just have to do what you can and pay the people who want to work more than maybe what they should get paid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
And some
So-
things I heard you said, Heather, that were fantastic. Just taking care of the employees, recognizing the contributions, creating some incentives, showing them a path forward, whether it's a raise, a company car, something that just says this is more than show up from 7 to 3, do what I'm told and go home.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah,
something I'd like to use as a segue right into something I wanted to talk about this, and Heather, you may have hit the nail right on the head, but the generational thing. So I know prior to COVID, myself and some other folks from the development office, my fellow BRE reps from all over the state, were able to spend a lot more time in high schools of the CTE programs, the CTCs, the community technical colleges. So I have actually got back in the habit of doing that again, as COVID's winding down. I'm able to get back into these schools again. So I was recently in Marion County Tech Center in Rachel, Farmington, Mannington area, and had a great afternoon with electrical instructor and as well as the new principal, and electrical, auto mechanics, computer science programs, carpentry. So it was great for me to see that, but then also talk directly with the instructors, the principals, the kids, the students. I hate calling them kids, but they're students. But after I left, I sat down, put together a short list of 8 or 10 companies in my area that I know are hiring, and I sent it to them to disperse to their soon-to-be graduates or recent past graduates. So that's the thing that, as Heather said, these young folks aren't in the workforce yet. They have a good skill set. They seem very energetic at class. So maybe we can initiate more work with those who aren't in, that haven't picked up those. I don't want to call them bad habits, but get them into the hands. I mean, yes, they're not seasoned CNC operators that Heather and companies are probably looking for, but they've got a basic skill set, and for the most part, I think they want to work. So anyway, I think that's something we can initiate more as we get out of COVID situations and get back in front of these young workers, and maybe hopefully recognize some opportunities to pair them up with some companies that could utilize some young workers to work with seasoned, experienced workers in a shop setting, and help trade some ideas of how to get these folks ramped up into some type of full type production soon.
No, that's great.
Can I comment on what Matt said real quick?
Yeah.
Actually, we do a lot of projects with middle school kids and high school kids, especially at CPEs. So every semester I do a project through Explore, which is part of the West Virginia Manufacturers Association, and Catalyst Connection works with them too. So I do a project every semester with a different school. Right now I'm doing 2 projects, one with Precision, the CNC machine shop, and one with Progressive. So, and I would say I'm pretty involved with the local CTE. And I think that, like what Matt said, that's really important. I don't know if the kids would know me when I walked, the students would know me if I walked in, but some of them would recognize me. And the teacher at United Technical Center asked me to come down next week. So I'm going to go down there and meet those students. So yeah, I would say that that's important. You should know all of your teachers at the CTEs across, in your area. So.
No, that's great. Good stuff. And David Carrick, whenever I'm reading that list and it talks about how to qualify candidates for the workforce, I know we had a very specific example about that. I didn't know if you wanted to share some stuff.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Yeah. But Matt Henderson, did you have something to add? I thought I heard you trying to chime in a couple of times, but somebody beat you to it.
Yeah, I just jump in here real quick and appreciate it. Is I see a lot of similarities. When oil and gas started, we had 70-80% of workforce was out of the area. So the idea was to engage and go to the schools and I think that the issues we ran into from the industry was it's this old dirty industry that, your grandfather did. And I think, from manufacturing, people, see the old lemmings and they think it's not cool. So I just think, just kind of echo what a lot of you are doing is getting in the schools, letting them know. And I know there's a lot of those, manufacturing is school initiatives. I just think those are great programs because people need to know it is a fun and the technology there. I've got my kids are tied to it and will text me from their bedroom versus walking down or Snapchat and stuff. So I just think those are some cool programs. I know, like I said, oil and gas. There's a lot of similarities in getting into schools. I think what you're doing is great because, as Heather said, we're not going to change the mindsets, unfortunately, of those out there. But if we can reach a larger pool, I think be more successful in the long term. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Good stuff.
Sure. Yeah, so the example that Jamie was talking about, we'd had a client come to us with some concerns about trying to onboard people. They would hire them, and during the interview, they did great. Oh yeah, I can do this. I'm your guy, I'm your girl, I can do this. They showed up at the plant and couldn't do any of it. So it was kind of become a recurring problem with them, and they wanted to try and develop an aptitude test of sorts, but not a standardized, A, B, C, D, Scantron, select, this kind of thing. They wanted something custom to what they needed. So we went in and worked with them to really understand what that meant. So we walked the plant floor with them, took some pictures of some equipment, certain things like if you were going to add oil to this machine, where would you do it? Draw a circle around that. Some basic knowledge from a maintenance system that they needed to know. Some of them were just explain the answer. Some were multiple choice. We put together a short 1 or 2 page test that they can use in addition to the application process to see if these people really know what they say they do. And a lot of the explanation questions were not so much write a novel, but just how would you go about doing this? Because those were the things that go beyond what you say in an interview that prove you have that knowledge. We spent, I think, a couple of days on site with them, a couple of days developing it. It was a fairly inexpensive tool, and it saved them a ton of money, on onboarding and dealing with letting people go who can't do the work they said they could.
Yeah. And I think that's a great example too, because if you look at our service list, you're not going to see that on there, right? But if you have a problem, we're happy to try to tackle it with whatever resources we have. So yeah, thanks, Dave. Good stuff.
Sure.
One of the other topics that came up is how to become a part of the supply chain. So networking, creating a local supplier base, service providers. And I'm going to guess Matt Henderson probably has some insight on how to become a part of a supply chain, and maybe a little bit more than just the standard presentation. But do you have any tips or tricks that you'd like to fill people in on how to be a part of the supply chain?
Yeah, definitely, because as I mentioned, that's what I've been doing, not just with these projects, the current one, but understanding the entry point is the hardest part for specifically talking shale energy is where do you enter in, and who's your buyer. Like I mentioned, from oil and gas, you hear EQT, Equitrans, Range, Cabot, Seneca, all the big players out there. They're spending the money, but they're not buying the product. So what we have done, what I've always done is, you work with the companies, find out, what your core, capabilities are, what's your strong points. And then is identifying, again, who's that buyer, who's for example, a common one is, somebody will see a PSO skid or a meter skid or a gas processing unit on a well site or a compressor station. And, they will see then energy transfer, they'll see EQT on the well site as they're the ones who are operating that. But the thing is, these items are coming in built. These are pre-built, and a lot of times they're built Midwest, Gulf Coast, just because of the legacy work they've been doing there. So what we do is we work with them, and maybe you have a fire eye, or maybe you have some valves, and we work with them to identify down 2 or 3 layers in that supply chain. Who's the actual buyer, who's the decision maker. So we help them to again, come up with that list, that magical list, or some of those buyers who they can reach out to, and to make the pitch. The other part of it is, it's not just where you enter, it is what's important, in terms of the safety aspect. And again, not to tout, from a manufacturing standpoint, but manufacturers have have safety programs in place. A lot of these other companies out there selling services or providing on-site services that, they're new companies, but health, HS&E, health, safety, environment is key to these companies. So we help the companies identify, again, what's important in terms of, working with this energy company or the supplier. Again, your safety record, having, good employees who are going to, show up, on time, same issues you run into. If you're going to do a project, and, a lot of the work or machine shops and some of the manufacturers, say some of the low hanging fruit is some of the fab work, for pipeline or midstream companies. The importance is, if you say you're going to get it done by, May 15th, you're going to get it done hopefully by May 10th or May 12th, so you're going to have your project done. So again, entering the supply chain, the biggest tip I would say is, take a step back and understand, who's the actual buyer. I mentioned, I had that slide on there of kind of showing, the arrows and different bubbles and stuff out there. But that's our goal, is really helping people to understand, you're probably on the second or third tier of, out there. So the same thing, a lot of times going to the trade shows, going to the company's websites, looking up who your, maybe your competitors are selling, can identify that. But, some of the work we do is all with the trade groups, trade associations. They don't know a lot of times, where the local manufacturers are, local companies are. So part of our goal is putting the supply, or the buyers and the sellers together out there. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's good stuff. Anybody else from our group or that's on the call want to talk about supply chain stuff? I know not going to put anybody on the spot, but okay, we can keep moving. That's good. And don't forget, also, I maybe didn't mention that we've got the chat working on here too. You can put your questions in the chat. Matt put some good information in there about Explore, and Leanne Stowers mentioned that CTCs and community colleges can customize training to fit industry needs. So that's certainly a good resource as far as the workforce things go. Moving forward here. Oh, actually, I see that Dave Lavender is with us, and Dave is a self-professed son of a Baptist minister, if I remember correctly. So we're going to try to keep him under we've got 21 minutes left. But Dave, I don't see your camera on. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. But do you want to talk a little bit about the apprenticeship programs that are offered through the state?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry, I was just hopping over from another meeting with Mount West, but yeah, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, so we at the development office, we have an AIM grant, and we are Apprenticeship in Motion, and so we are expanding apprenticeship opportunities in West Virginia, and so we're working in concert with the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship, and we can help companies set up an apprenticeship, and we can then help you pay for it. And so some of the great kind of very interesting work we're doing is kind of working with a lot of our CTCs to set up very specific programs. So working with Eastern Community and Technical College to set up a wind turbine technician program. We've helped set up a solar electrician apprenticeship over with Solar Holler, and I've set up a brewing tech apprenticeship that just got an article in Forbes magazine last month. That's through Bridge Valley. And so we're kind of trying to train up the next generation of workers, and trying to take that mystery out of if we have students who go to community and technical college, will they have a job when they get out? So we're trying to pipeline them straight into a job. and trying to keep some of our great talent here at home. It is the best of times for setting up an apprenticeship, and I'll tell you why. If you do training through the CTCs, we can sandwich the funding, so you can do a learn and earn, which pays for half of someone's salary, and then we can stack $800 per apprentice, as well as our governor's guaranteed workforce funds as well. So just have this amazing kind of funding sandwich that can help you, recruit, retain, and train your workers. So that's my quick spiel. So elevators going to the top floor, so I'm probably done here.
No,
But yeah,
that was perfect.
Yeah, hit up
Perfect.
Leanne and I, for lack of a better term, Jamie, I said we're like the trail guides for for taking people along the apprenticeship path. And DOL sometimes gets a bad rap, but I tell you, they are adaptable and flexible, and their new apprenticeship model is amazing. And West Virginia is actually in the top 10 in U.S. states for number of people apprenticed per capita. So we're number 8.
Wow.
So yeah, so they've got it down, and the Ken Milnes and his crew are good to work with, and Leanne and I are too. So we're here to help you out. Hit us up, and we'll do everything we can to help you set up an apprenticeship to help you recruit talent, so you're not out there on the street corner hoping somebody good stops by. So you know how hard it is to find workers now. So.
Right. No, that's all really good stuff. And just expect to be put on the spot if you're on one of my roundtables, just so you know.
I don't mind at all. Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate it, man. Love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Looks like we got another comment from Matt Bohr there talking about the Pierpont Maker Camp in the chat there. So check that out if you're interested. I see Dave Carrick's unmuted. Dave, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I'm sorry. I forgot to mute myself after the last
okay.
time I spoke.
No, that's all good. I'm gonna, since I've been putting people on the spot, I'm gonna go ahead and put Matt Bohr back on the spot. Your counterpart, Morgan Tenney, at the last roundtable spoke a lot about what the SBDC is doing with the CARES Act money right now. I should have given you a little bit of a warning on that, but are you familiar with what's going on as far as helping out with marketing, accounting, stuff like that?
Yeah, actually, it was on my to-do list. So
Good.
We're thinking the same here, buddy. Yeah, we're slowly gathering some more information on how this works. Basically, subject matter experts that are being available on a I won't say first come first serve basis, but to help small businesses with such things as website development, marketing, e-commerce, government contracting, workforce training development as hot topic, OSHA, workspace design, cybersecurity, HR, whatever. So those folks from the SBDC, which is a sister organization to the development office that I work for, and David and Leanne and Jennifer, who was on here as well. So they work again with smaller type businesses or early stage businesses, entrepreneur type things, to get them up and going into, from a 1 or 2 year operation into a multi-year operation, such as Heather's companies do there in Morgantown. But many times there's some questions of, a husband and wife have a new manufacturing company, and they're trying to wear every hat in the business, plus make the products, plus sell the products, plus run the shop and get materials and deliver products. So many times they're in the need of someone to help with marketing, e-commerce sales development, especially with technology anymore, with awareness on social media. I know we promote a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and Twitter. But anyway, there are some connections, and actually I'm in the process of doing one today with the company in Preston County, small startup, and get them into the hands of one of these SMEs to help develop a website marketing aspect. So that's something that's brand new to us, and we're still trying to figure out how to get that out into front of people and get it clicking to help our West Virginia businesses.
Great. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. One of the other topics, and again, if anybody wants to chime in that's on the call, just unmute your mic and I'll be happy to.
Jamie, I'm gonna jump in here real quick.
Yeah,
I
please.
just want to put out there, and you're talking about some of those resources through the SBDC, which I'm definitely a fan of. I worked for them here in PA for my first 8 or 10 years. But through the program, Shale Power, we do have a mini grant available, so you can again reach out to Jamie or David on that. But it's up to $5,000 a matching grant, but it's for marketing, website development can fall into that as well. So there might be some other ways we can help the companies, maybe partner up with the SBDC and work like that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, that's good stuff. One of the other topics that comes up regularly is energy. I mean, that's obviously Matt's working with that a lot. And Dave Carrick and I'm going to let Dave talk about it, but we work with WVU on some energy assessments that have been really popular. So Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about how that works?
Sure. So we work with Dr. Gopala from the Industrial Assessment Center at WVU and a team of his students. They will go into a company for usually a day, sometimes a day and a half, and they'll look at all the energy consuming sources from lights to HVAC to compressed air, motors, heat, pretty much anything energy consuming in a plant. They review it and do an assessment of it. The end result is a report that takes about 60 days to write, but it's very thorough. It includes everything from low-hanging fruit, low cost, no cost, things that they can do, like maybe putting in a dimmer switch or an occupancy sensor, up through things including capital investment that might be maybe a new air compressor or putting a variable drive motor in versus an older motor. Everything that they do in these reports has a calculated payback, and I think 3 to 4 years is the furthest out they go with cost saving, because obviously, I remember a time when, probably showing my age, when return on investment was 3 to 5 years. Now it's more like 12 to 18 months. So they do this all free of charge. Like I said, it's Dr. Gopal and a team of his students. The reports are very useful because they're an independent third party. They're not trying to sell you something. I know some lighting companies will come in and do these kinds of things and tell you how much you're going to save and how amazing it's going to be. And there's always some devil in the details. But for them, it's purely educational, and for these kids to learn how to do this kind of work so they're prepared for industry. We have a lot of clients who take advantage of it because they want to know what they need to do, and they're not really sure where to start when it comes to energy savings. They'll even look at your bill to understand the rate code you're in, to make sure you're in the right code and you're not being charged incorrectly for that. So there's a lot of benefit to it. And like I said, it is free of charge, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So we're kind of in the home stretch here, so hoping to hear from some of the folks on the call. But if anybody who has already spoken would like to add, just, I don't know, we won't call it closing remarks or whatever, but yeah, I mean, does anybody want to share? Hey, Heather's unmuted.
So I've just been like kind of joking, but kind of serious about this. And I wanted to know the other people on the call if they would be interested. We've talked a little bit about doing a manufacturer's ball. And so at the event, having, anyone in the state who wants to come who's a manufacturer or, produces something, and then the food there be like local food, local beer, everything local. Try to get a room rate at some different hotels, and have it like at Milan Park or something, and have entertainment, a local band, all that kind of stuff. And then maybe sell tickets for CTA, the CDs, or, do a kind of fundraiser. So there's a purpose for it, but it would be a great networking event for everybody, and kind of everybody get to meet everybody, and, maybe do some kind of advertising so different businesses have things up. I don't know. I mean, it's still in the very, very beginning stages, just me with an idea, but I didn't know if anyone else would be interested, or sometimes people don't like things too. Some people are just like, yeah, I don't have time for that. So it just kind of is a question I'm throwing out there.
No, that's awesome. I think it sounds like fun. And just so you know, I own a tux and Dave Carrick plays guitar. So I think we've got dress.
own a tuxedo T-shirt, if that helps.
I was thinking we could wear, since it's a manufacturer's ball, I feel like we're always too dressed up for being manufacturers. I think I'll wear jeans.
Yeah, I could go that route too. I understand. But,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I'd love to hear from some of the other folks chime in. Matt Henderson's unmuted.
Yeah, I think Heather, you had everybody at beer, probably most people here. So, but on that, on a serious note, I mean that we'd be glad to participate somehow. I know one thing we're getting lined up finally with the restrictions being lifted is a networking event. I'll call it speed dating with energy companies. I don't know if there's a way to tie that in, but we all know networking is key. So. Definitely keep us in mind for that. The other point I wanted to touch, follow up on Dave Carrick's comments about the energy assessments. One, we all know the easiest way to make money is to save money. One thing I want to, just to mention is always kind of think, this works like say industrial parks or, larger manufacturers, is called this virtual pipeline. Where we know from natural gas is not accessible everywhere. But there's a lot of companies who have popped up and they truck the natural gas to facilities. We have a local company here in central PA that goes, takes the gas 500-600 miles to, greenhouses, hospitals, just large users out there. So it's a more of a probably capital investment out there, but it's just something to keep in mind. And I know some larger economic development groups are looking at ways to do that. But I guess just a kind of closing remarks is I just would like to, encourage people to take a look at, energy or shale as a potential, diversification, part of your company. Give it a fair look. I'm not going to say that, 3 weeks, 3 months, you're going to, return your investment right away, but we'll be glad to work with you. There are tremendous opportunities. There's tremendous amount of interest from the industry to engage locally. So we're working with the trade groups and marrying that together. So I appreciate the time, the information. Again, you're going to share the contact information, go to our website, reach out, give me a call. I think it's just worth that time to spend some of your time and valuable resources to take a look at it. So appreciate everybody's time today.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. It's been great having you.
One thing I like to add too, I can tell you the Shale Power program, that mini grant, is very easy to access. Matt has been tremendously helpful with any question I have. Heather can call me a liar if I'm lying. We actually, one of her companies applied for it, and the application process was super simple between Matt and Catalyst Connection. I know sometimes when you talk about grants and these types of things, oh Lord, more paperwork, it's a headache. And this was super smooth and very, very detail oriented to the needs of the manufacturing community. So if anybody has any interest in those or knows of somebody, please reach out to me, to Jamie, get in the resource database. You know, the people don't know you're out there unless they can find your name somewhere. So anything that we can do from our end to help with that. And same thing with the workforce topic. Heather made a lot of good comments about that. There are a number of things that we can do. Obviously, we can't bring employees to you, but we can work with your company to identify ways to keep the ones you have, engage them, and show them that there's a future there for you. Sometimes when you have a company, especially a small company, you can't see the forest for the trees because you're trying to work on today's problem and prepare for tomorrow's. And there's only so many hours a day. You don't always have the time to look 5, 6 months, 10 years, or 5 years down the road. So there's the kind of things that we can provide a lot of assistance with and kind of help you get oriented properly to keep that team you have that's making you successful right now.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, good stuff. So we're getting real close to time. We're at the speak now or forever hold your peace moment. If anybody has anything that they'd like to add, this would be a great time. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anybody unmute, not seeing anybody want to join in. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. This has been a really good one. We've got more roundtables coming up, and we also have an Industry 4.0 webinar coming up real soon. So check out wvmep.com/webinars. It's webinars with an S to see what's coming up next. And hopefully we'll see you again real soon, and expect an email with the recording and all the contact information and websites for the folks that were speaking with us today. So again, thank you, Heather, Matt, Dave, all great stuff.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.